What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Teige pack. Teige makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Teige Hanley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Teige Hanley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Teige Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Teige Hanley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Teige pack. Feel the Teige, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Why are you guys asking if this is live? Every single day, unless it says premiere, is live, right? Every day, Monday through Friday, regardless of whether I'm out of town. I'll be in Vegas this weekend and next week, and then I'm flying over to the Dominican Republic, and then we going over into Dallas to do our Patreon meetup on, well, listen, there is a post inside of the Patreon for those of you that will be attending the meetup in Dallas. There is a post that gives you an update on the exact date and where we are going to do the meetup. Now, I will give you this. The meetup will be in a secret location, depending on me trying to get a pulse on how many people are going to be there, right? So it's a possibility that it may be catered. It's a possibility that we might have a private chef. So I'm trying to get a pulse on what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? So everybody that's a bag chaser. Now, we have a record amount of bag chasers right now. And so I really need to understand and try to get a pulse on how many people is going to be there, who's bringing a +1, all that type of stuff. And if you've ever been to a Patreon meetup, you know what we do. We get it in. It's dope. It's popping. It's vibes. It's drinks. It's all of that. So make sure that you guys go into the Patreon and then respond to the post that I put at the very top of the Patreon as far as getting a idea of exactly how many people plan on being at the Dallas meetup, so I can get a better pulse on exactly what it is that I need to plan for, or what we need to plan for once I get back from the Dominican Republic. All right. Shout out to Q. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Also, shout out to my dog, Mike Jones. My dog says, "Good morning, Anton. Last week and over the weekend, the mob came for your head. You must be doing something right. I have never seen so many haters in my life. I rock with you. They are big mad. Do you, fam?" Let me address that really quickly. I'm glad that you said that, Mike Jones. Well, I'm going to address it later. I'm going to address it in a second. Thank you, Mike Jones, for the 50 ball. I appreciate you. I'm going to address it. Mike, thank you for holding me down. Thank you for all of my Patreon members. I appreciate y'all. All right. Let me also give an acknowledgement to David Mosby. Says, "What up, bag chaser? We grabbing bags in the building." Shout out to David Mosby. Shout out to all of my people. Shout out to everybody that held me down. I'll address that because I don't know what I'm gonna talk about until I get on my monologue, but I'll definitely address it. But let me get the rest of the housekeeping out of the way. So if you're not a bag chaser, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Also, on top of that, make sure you tap into that Teige pack, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Give me a second. Let me also give a shout out to Batman 4000 plus 11. Says, I had a lot to say, but that doesn't need to be said because I will say AD gave us a masterclass and continues to do so. I'll address it. Let's talk about it. Thank you for the 50 ball. Thank you for holding me down. Thank you for continuing to rock with me. Let's address the elephant in the room, and then we're going to get started on a Monday morning, all right? First and foremost, I need to give a shout out to my team. I have to give a shout out to my team. Two people specifically that I want to give a phenomenal shout out to is Island Girl Q. Always one of the most loyal people that I've ever met in my life since the day I met her. Always held me down. Also, let me give a shout out to Logic. Logic over there in Germany doing what he does and all of that. And as things were unfolding, and one of the benefits of only doing the Millionaire Morning Show on Monday through Friday is that I now have my weekends off. And then in addition to that, I might jump up on a panel here and there, especially one that I own, Fight Club, Lapeef, Let's Talk, or whatever, so on and so forth. But in a general sense, I don't do panels anymore because I work very, very hard, and then I've taken my Sundays off in order to spend family. So I had an opportunity to go over and hang out at J. Alexander's, and we ate good, and we ran up a $250 bill, just me and my daughter and my wife. And we were laughing and playing and everything like that. And then I wound up getting into bed at like 8:30 last night. I got into bed at 8:30 p.m., and I did not wake up until 4:35 o'clock this morning, right? And let me tell you what that did for me. I got like 7.5, 8 hours of sleep. Do you know the last time that I got 7.5, 8 hours of sleep? Because I'm a hustler. I grind, I hustle, I get it, the whole 9 yards. I also want to give a phenomenal shout out to my wife because she's laughing, playing. She's not even familiar with it, but then she'll see a thing like this because these angry, ugly hoes will, try to DM her on Instagram and say, let us know if you ever looking to break up with your husband and all of that other type of stuff. And so I said, okay, Rita, well, now has come the time. I knew that it would come eventually, in which now you have to make your Instagram private. You got to make your TikTok private. And she don't care. She like, oh, I didn't even know. Cool, whatever. You ready to go out to eat? And so me and my daughter and my wife, we have a good time and everything. And then on a future vlog that I'm dropping, because I'm doing a lot of long form content now, I'll address the whole idea behind my wife and everything like that. But I'm never going to address it without getting monetized for it because we bag chasers. And so I believe that I should be compensated for my thoughts, right? Neither here nor there. Let me come back to Q and Logic and Rita and a lot of different people that's in my life. So they like, yo, Anton, I know who you are. I know you loading up the cannons. I know you trying to get at people. I know it's going to be a like hell on earth up this upcoming week. And I'm like, yeah, kind of, sort of. I'm thinking about it. I'm working through it. But I'm never one to react emotionally. I'm just kind of taking things into consideration, and I'm evaluating who's saying what and who said who. And then Q and Logic and my wife said, but you passed that. You're way past that. Don't ever go backwards. Focus on going forward. And I said, And this is on an individual level. So I talked to Q. And then I'm talking to Logic, and we laughing and we joking about who betrayed me and all of this other type of stuff. And he cracking up, right? And he's like, yeah, but fam, you know how Logic talk. But listen, you got to just keep doing what you do because you don't one of the only ones that can create your own content. You out here hot in these streets. So if they talk about you, you must be doing something right. So focus on doing the awesome shit that you've been doing. You know what I'm saying? Fuck these hoes. That's how Logic talk. Right? And so I'm like, Logic, you don't want me to pull out the cannons either? He like, man, do what you do, bro. Like, keep cooking. It's a reason why you winning all across the board, right? And so then I'm talking to my chick, and we laying in the bed because we go to bed early, and so we watching that new movie, the new movie Luther on Netflix, and so we chilling or whatever. And she like, we had an awesome weekend. She like, you sure that something was going on the internet, like on on YouTube or whatever? I'm like, oh yeah. I said, yeah, I'm hot right now. I said, I'm infamous. I've become infamous on YouTube or whatever. And she was like, oh, she was like, you sure wasn't even really, tripping or nothing about it like you usually do. You usually be planning and all of this other type of stuff. And I said, my life is so good, right? I went and ordered 2 Lamborghinis. When I was on my way, and I had jumped on the live, I was on my way home from the dealership, and then I dropped the subsequent video on Sunday that showed you I was on my way home from the dealership. And I'm chilling, and we in a good mood, we in a great space. My daughter's doing well and everything, right? My family life is picture perfect. I have no issues, no problems. My friends in real life is great. The whole 9 yards. So the conclusion that I came to after sleeping on it the whole weekend was to keep going, to keep working, keep killing this shit, keep doing awesome shit, right? Because I'm the one that got the results. I'm the one that they got to see. I'm the biggest threat, apparently, considering that when you can't get me, then you start trying to shoot at the people around me, right? And so first and foremost, I got to give a thanks to my people. I also want to give an appreciation to Q for sending the gifts that she sent for my birthday. That's this week. I'm going to be an awesome 41 years old. Thank you. Q also have a live stream that we got popping off tonight on the Anton Daniels channel. Make sure you tap into that. I got to give a shout out to Charleston White. He hit me up and he was like, yo, fam, you killing this shit. Keep doing what you do. I also want to give a shout out to all of the people, all of the bag chasers, all of y'all that continue to hold me down and give me that reality check of what makes sense, what I'm supposed to do, because I check the pulse of you guys, not everybody else. I check the pulse of you guys, and you guys give me a lot of insight. But let me also say this last thing, right? And this is the cherry on top, because I know y'all didn't think I was going to be this positive this morning, but I had a great weekend. Let me say this last thing, and this is the cherry on top. The one thing that I've learned over these last 2 weeks, but specifically last week specifically, is never trust. Let me say this one more time. Never trust anything other than exactly what people present themselves to be the first time, right? One thing that I'm doing, or one thing that I've always done, and Cube always is on my head about this, is I've always given more grace, more forgiveness, more love, more opportunities, more money to people that may not necessarily have my best interests at heart. And so the thing that I've learned very, very quickly, and I'm making adjustments. I don't always catch it the first time, but I'm making adjustments. The one thing that I learned is that when these people, specifically women, show you who they are the first time, believe them, even if it's just the internet, even if y'all just cool, right? When I see a sign, when I see a person, let's just say a woman, come out of nowhere and then they start jumping on my panel, or they start doing doing a lot, or if somebody send me something, because a lot of times I'm not even aware until y'all send it to me and y'all DM it to me, right? Shout out to Q. I'm going to read Super Chat shortly. When I see somebody do something, or when one of my people say, yo, fam, watch her, I'm cutting them off immediately. Immediately. I'm not kicking it. I'm not doing business. I'm blocking them on Instagram. I don't want you to be able to reach me. I don't want to do no panels with you. I don't want to do nothing. I'm insulating myself from the hyenas. I'm not flying one more woman into my studio to do an interview. I'm not extending my platform. I'm not using my resources for them. They are completely cut off. Completely cut off. I will extend my platform to the homies. I will kick it with the people that are local to me. So if I'm kicking it with people in real life and then I bring them up to my studio in order to do an interview, then I'm going to rock out like that. Right? But I'm no longer, the minute that I spot anything remotely treasonous from any woman, if I spot a red flag, I'm cutting it. I don't even care if it's true or not. I'm cutting it off immediately. I'm not going to research it. I'm not going to try to figure it out. I'm not doing none of that. I am 100% cutting off all opportunities to any woman that I do not know, is not a bag chaser, and is not having my best interest at heart from the very beginning. If I spot anything, listen, I'm telling you, I went through my contacts this weekend, and I completely washed out everything. Anybody that I thought crossed me at any point, at any time in my life, I blocked them. They can't call my phone. I don't care if we was cool. I don't care if we wasn't cool. I don't care if I forgave you. Listen, you still cool. I don't have no problem with you. God bless you. Build it on your own. Rock out. Rock out. Y'all don't even realize how many people, how many women, for me to be a person that is hated by so many women, y'all have no idea how many women y'all would not even know if it wasn't for me. Half of these struggle streamers and straggle chicks, y'all wouldn't have no clue who they were if it wasn't for me. Y'all wouldn't have no clue on who whole platforms are that now have a huge following if it wasn't for me. That is a fact. I put so many people on, have not done any nasty, dirty business, ain't never gave nobody a bad due contract, always overpaid people, never asked nobody to come out of their pocket. And when I see it now, because I've largely always been too nice of a person. My wife say this all the time. She says, Anton, you're just too nice. You're too nice. When I see it, I'm never unblocking it. I don't want to kick it. Don't DM me. Don't send me no emails. No nothing. No nothing. No more opportunities for people that I do not know in real life. No more opportunities for people that's not a part of the bag chasers. If you ain't at a meetup, if you ain't kicked it with me on a personal live stream, if you ain't got a coaching call or something like that, fam, if you not a part of my people, I will know I am 100% insulating myself against it. And it's to protect me. It's to protect me. It's to protect my people, because people will use you and then turn against you when they thought that they had you, but they don't realize that it's something much greater than you that's protecting you. And so it's just a lesson. I don't look at this as betrayal. I look at this like as the things that people have done. I don't look at it as betrayal. I look at it as a lesson that God took me through so that I can go to the next level, because he understood in order for me to get to the next level, I had to learn the lesson right now. And so now that I'm passing the test, took me a couple tries, took me a couple years, but now that I'm passing the test, I can now move appropriately with the people that actually have my best interest at heart. So I don't see it. I'm not checking for it. I don't care. I don't care what your agenda is. It does not matter. I'm sure you'll find somebody else to cross more effectively, but it's just not going to be me. That's all. Gentlemen, when you see a red flag, and it's not just for the women. Oh, it's some dudes out here that's grimy. I mean, the grime is real. The grime is real. And let me tell you how much of a stand-up dude I am. I'm gonna tell you exactly how much of a stand-up dude I am. Regardless of how much that I've been crossed or who crossed me, because it's one thing to, this is just business. If we don't do it, whatever, so on and so forth, whatever. And it's another thing of, okay, we was just panel members together or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing. But when you know me in real life, and when you kick it with me in real life, and you've met my wife, you know all of that type of shit, it's a difference. Now it's different, right? And so my thing is, I'm going to show you how real I am. Regardless of how I feel or my adjustments, regardless of how cool we were, I never mention your name. I'll never mention anything negative about you. I'll never tell your business. I'll never do you dirty as far as talking about certain aspects of your life that I know. I'm never going to put no receipts out there or nothing like that. I'm going to just let you go ahead and do your own thing. I will never talk negatively about a person that I've known in real life, regardless of whether they cross me or not. Because I'm not the type of person, if we was cool, and then when we ain't cool, now I want to put your business out there. I'm never, ever going to do that. I don't have that in me. It's just not a part of who we are here in the Detroit, United States of America. I'm just not rolling like that. And this is not just to one person. This is for everybody. Anybody that has ever done me dirty, and there's multiple different people that I feel like cross me, I will never, ever speak on your personal business or put anything out there about you that I know. I just wash my hands of it and I walk away. That's it. That's it. I ain't got nothing else to say. I have nothing else to say. So, congratulations. God bless you. We got more Patreon members than we've ever had before in history. We got more subscribers than we've ever had before in history. We did bigger numbers last month and on pace to do a biggest month that we've ever done from a financial perspective on content creation on YouTube this month. Thank you, everybody that's continuing to hold me down. And we're going to continue to run the numbers up because at the end of the day, remember this, y'all, and this is for the bag chasers. At the end of the day, you know what it comes back down to? The numbers. It comes back down to the numbers. That's it. If everybody is whining, but the only person that's really getting the bag is the bag chasers, that's all we care about. All right? So listen, God bless. I hope everything is well, but I'm taking the advice of the people that I look at and I rock with closest to me, and we're going to continue to get this money. So let me read some of the super chats, and then we're going to get started with the show. Mimi Selfie says it's pronounced me, myself, I. Okay, me, myself, I. Just became a bag chaser. Keep doing your thing. Also, I'm a Detroit native. Shout out to all of my Detroit people in the building. Shout out to all of the Detroit people that met me over the weekend. I'm walking through the streets. I'm kicking it with the people, shaking hands, kissing babies. I love it. I appreciate you. Thank you for the fireball, and welcome all to the Patreon members, all of the new members. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I just posted something this weekend. I need your feedback to understand whether or not you're going to be participating at our next meetup. All right. Jay Benji is in the building with the two balls. Says salute hand signs. These hyenas are out of pocket. Let them be out of pocket by themselves though. We married. We happy. We rich. We drive the best cars. We eat the best food. We fly best accommodations. Let them be unmarried and unhappy by themselves. All right. Quai84 says, good morning, Anton and the Bag Chasers. Good morning, my friend. Shout out to Island Girl Q. Gonna send me all of these gifts this weekend. Says, yeah. I'm not gonna mention no names. I have no beef with nobody. God bless everybody. But I know that Q is Q, and I can't control Q. Q is her own person. Happy birthday week, Anton. Y'all can read. I think most of y'all can read, right? Y'all see whatever she want to say. I just highlight the super chats, all right? Shout out to Q, crazy ass. Jays, the listing agent, says, Anton, y'all can read. Thank you for the super chat. I'm not getting involved in it. I will never mention anybody's name that I'm not interested in doing a reaction video about. So God bless. Y'all saying what y'all want to say. I can't control y'all. I'm just telling y'all what it is that I thought. O'Neal Harris says, maximize opportunities. Keep smiling, head up. Take care, AD. Man, I got a lot of sleep. I'm feeling incredible. Quentin says, send Mo and Mo. Been sniping all weekend. Y'all, listen, this is what I want y'all to do. I want y'all to focus all of y'all energy. Let me say this. Shout out to my dog, Quentin. Catch him and Q on the show tonight. This is what I want y'all to do. Send every single piece of energy that you have into what we doing. Fuck them. Anybody that feel a certain type of way, I'm not giving them none of my energy. We gonna give all of our energy into each other because we gonna advocate for the best version of ourselves. We gonna continue to hold people accountable. We gonna still have the conversation, and then we gonna do what we do. Fuck them. Let them have whatever it is that they want to have, and we gonna continue to run the numbers up. That's all that matters. Spend all of your energy on getting to the bags. Spend all of your energy on continuing to be productive. Why give energy into that when you can give energy into your wife? Why give energy into that when you can give energy into your spouse? Why give energy into that when you can give energy into your kids, your network, your monies? Spend every waking moment on being productive. Be entertained by it. Let them be the court gestures that they are. And then spend all of your waking energy on focusing on the thing that generate the most for your dollar. That's what I'm asking for. I'm not asking y'all for snipe for me. I'm asking y'all to hold it down to make sure that y'all running that check up. If it ain't about no fucking check, let them have that dumb shit. Let the pigs play in the mud. That's what pigs do. We don't care nothing about that. Run that check up. We passed that. We grew past that. Ian says it could have been done over a simple adult phone call, but they ruined a great opportunity and their feelings is business. Tia Marie is in the building, said this to AM, but a lot of folks had been sitting on the couch like the dude in Belly that they whooped and was saying, gon' get it. Gon' get his. As soon as they saw a moment, they voluntarily jumped on it. And they still broke. And they're still broke. We having the best months that we've ever had in our entire lives. We are living in bliss. And tell them to check their bank accounts at the end of the night. When they get done, jumping from panel to panel, complaining and putting my wife's name in their mouth and all of that, tell them to check their bank accounts at the end of the day. Because the only thing that matters is the results. No? I don't know. My dog Kojak is in the building, says, you're one of the coolest ones I know. That's why I've stayed rocking with you for all these years. F them haters and get money. Listen. This is what I know for sure. I'm about to read your super chat, Lucid. This is what I know for sure. If you going to do something, anybody that's going to do something, they don't necessarily talk about it online. All of the gangsters that I know, all of the real ones, all of the shooters, all of the snipers, all of the whatever it is, they not looking for a posse. They just moving. I would never, ever in my life, and maybe again, it's just the Detroit in me. Maybe it's where I come from. Maybe it's the environment that I was raised in. We don't talk about it. If you gonna do something, then usually we moving behind the scenes. So I'm not gonna sit here and announce, oh, I'm about to do this. No, fuck all of that. Let's just run this check up. We not worried about all of that. Let them do whatever they gonna do. And then we gonna continue to run the checkup. All right, let me read a couple more super chats. Lucid says, your zen-like composure through these recent events is amazing. I commend you. What recent events, though? Thank you for the super chat, but I'm just saying, what recent events? Listen, man, I got people in real life that's doing time. We hitting them with money on their books, JPay. You know what I'm saying? We making sure that people's rent is taken care of. We fucking running up a check. We making sure that people's funerals is paid for, that their rent is taken care of. We pouring into our community. Man, with the stuff that we done been through in our lifetime, you think internet? The internet, where anybody can be whoever it is that they want to be without any kind of receipts for it? Come on, man. Come on. If y'all affected by the internet, y'all got to stop. Good morning, brother. My friends tried clowning me the other day because I told them I have more than $50 in my bank account. But you said had thousands. Yeah. And my whole insurance, silence. Run the checkup. Listen, Elliot, you know what you found out if your friends was clowning you? That they wasn't really your friends. You just exposed them. It was an opportunity. Shout out to Vern. Vern says the only showers we get in April are happy birthdays and money. Happy birthday week, bro. Thank you, my friend. I rock with that. I appreciate it. Thank you, Vern. My dog. Miss Bliss says, oh, benevolent one, Anton. You're so graceful. Please be patient with me. I'm still sniping snakes I see in your space. Give me some time. Spend all of your energy. All of your energy on the things that actually add value to your life, Ms. Bliss. Don't get caught up in that bullshit. It says also, may purchase a house in the Hamtramck area. The HOAs for the condos are too high, but would be tax deductible. I'm not sure yet. Pay attention to the area. Hamtramck is on the come up, but I'm not sure if that is completely there yet. For those of you that don't know, Hamtramck is the second city within the city of Detroit. Well, we'll get into that later. Shout out to you, Elliot Jackson. I appreciate you, big dog. All right, y'all want to get to the money or y'all want to still roll around in the mud with the people? Y'all want to roll around in the mud with all of these people that's a part of this culture that ain't never put no money in nobody else's pocket and is not even married and don't even know where they going to get their next paycheck from? Or y'all want to get to the money? Jay in the building says, in your opinion, how much harder will it be to build? Will it be to build with the U.S. dollar being dropped by countries and it changing over? I don't think that anything changes. I think that the philosophy that we've always had here is to continue to buy assets. The only thing that we care about is continuing to beat the rate of inflation. The only thing that we care about is continuing to beat the rate of inflation. Inflation meaning the value of your dollar continuing to go down, and so you throw all of your money into assets that continue to appreciate over time, depending on where the current society and what the current economic environment is. That's what we've been teaching. We don't care nothing about money. I've never cared anything about money and fiat currency. You know why? Because we've always continued to compete on how it is that we can legally remove ourselves from giving as much money to the federal government and continuing to build up our assets. If you focused on saving, then you're in trouble. If you continuing to try to pay down debt, then you're in trouble. If you're a person that's already been moving according to how it is that we teach things in the Bag Chasers, then you're going to be fine. You will be fine. Facts. It's a fact. But great question. Let's get out of the mud and let's continue to get to the shits, right? So I got a great show for y'all lined up today. The first thing that I want to do is I want to go over a portion of the Lapeef Let's Talk show that I was practically frustrated with. And the only person up there, for me personally, that was really making sense was the Angry Man. Shout out to my dog, Angry Man. And maybe it's that me and Angry Man is just so one-on-one interconnected. Had him here in Detroit. We went to the game together. We spent some time together. He was on the panel cooking up, so on and so forth. But the only person that was really making sense to me was Angry Man. And they had got into a conversation about money. And I heard somebody on the panel say, well, $45,000 isn't enough. Then I heard somebody else say on the panel, well, two average people together can survive. And that bothered me. Now, why would that bother me? It bothered me because we don't teach survival tactics here. We teach thrive. We teach thriving. Somebody said Anton is a Lambo an asset. Well, it depends on whether or not you can justify the cost of it from a business perspective. It depends on the value of it and when you decide to get rid of it. It depends on how it is that you purchase it. It depends on whether or not it's going to hold its value. It depends on also if you can use it in order to promote what it is that you got going on from a business perspective, especially from content creation. It depends on if you talk to your tax strategist. It depends on a lot of things, but absolutely a Lamborghini 100% can be an asset. It depends on how you use it and how you justify it from a financial perspective. Get the likes up. Get the likes up. It absolutely can be, especially if you buy into. All right? Cars are not just a status symbol. Jameson, that tells me that you don't know what you're talking about because you don't understand exactly how to keep more money in your pocket. You don't understand marketing and promotion. You don't understand justifying it from a business expense. And you also don't understand exactly what the resale value of that vehicle is depending on how much mileage you get from it and how you can leverage it in order to make more money. And see, this is the small mind that y'all have and that y'all looking at this at a basic level and you're supposed to graduate. And when you get to a certain level, it's more than just what it is that you see on the surface. But we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it today. Let me see if I can move through to find exactly where this part is that I wanted to talk about on the Lapeef Let's Talk show. Because I started to jump on the panel, and I said, nah, we'll just break it down next week. Let me see if I can get.
I think it's going to turn out to be a dope conversation. The more you chase the market concept of,
let me see if I can scrub
that.
through
Who
this.
wants to go ahead and get into this first? Fantasy Island Girl. We'll go to you. I seen you jumped off that mic first.
We're going to jump off.
Go ahead.
We're going to go past that.
I still do it because it still brings me happiness.
So in this particular video, I think it's what he was talking about is control over media, you know, misrepresentation.
Surrounded by people who love us and support us, especially having a strong family dynamic, I think that's a true state of happiness versus trying to always get to a destination of happiness.
All right, let me get Lady Di in there. Then Angry Man. Lady Di, what are your thoughts about it?
So I don't want to look at the happy word like, no, I just think you should do whatever your purpose is, whatever your God's will is, that's your true happiness. And, you know, you should wrap it into the Bible and figure out what that is. That's happiness to me.
Oh, yeah, Angry Man, chime in on this. What are your thoughts about it, sir?
Okay, so I had a problem with the video too, because the dude was speaking brokenese. And I think there's a lot of guys that try to rationalize their level of mediocrity, and they try to pass it off as some sort of altruism about happiness. But the only problem was he laid out everything that supposedly doesn't make you happy, like money and material things, but he didn't say what does make him happy. So it's like this elusive myth that he's chasing, because the same way you could be chasing materialism, chasing money, you could be chasing the idea of happiness too. The reality.
Angry Man is 1,000% on the money. 1,000% on the money. And he said a lot of dudes is just speaking brokenese. And he says, listen, people justify the idea of saying that money doesn't buy happiness, not because they really believe it, but because they don't really understand what it's like to have money. They don't really understand what it's like to have money. Listen, how can a person that's broke tell a person that has resources that money doesn't buy happiness? Doesn't matter whether it's true or not or the context behind it, but how can they when they've never experienced it? You know what I see online a lot of times? I see people say, well, Warren Buffett is doing this or Mark Zuckerberg is driving this. Well, Mark Zuckerberg also has a fucking private plane. And Warren Buffett lives on his private plane. How can you justify, and I'm reading super chats throughout the show, so thank y'all for continuing to hold me down. How can you justify by using someone else's lifestyle in order to exemplify your talking point? People also say a lot of times, well, Anton, you always use yourself as an example because I'm living it. And very rarely do you have somebody that can speak on it that's also a reflection of it, because most people that have resources don't want to fucking talk to you and give it to you for free. How is somebody that has never truly understood, they don't even know what $100,000 cash look like in front of them, let alone $1 million in cash. Never seen $1 million in their life. Don't even know what it feels like to hold $10,000 at one time. Has never had $10,000 in their bank account even after tax time. How can somebody then justify the idea of what happiness is if they've never truly experienced it on this level? Angry Man is 100% right. Let's continue.
Reality is happiness is not a state of being any more than sadness or mourning is. It's something that comes in small doses. You know, there's certain things you're going to do that's going to make you happy. There's certain things you're going to do that's going to make you sad. It's not a constant state of existence. But whenever guys talk about, oh, you shouldn't pursue materialism or you shouldn't pursue money. Well, what if that makes you happy? What if it makes you happy to level up? What if it makes you happy to get a bigger house or a better car or any of those things?
Or be able to send your daughter to college without student loan debt, so you're not operating under duress and voting the wrong way because you think that Biden has already promised you, or Elizabeth Warren or somebody like Bernie Sanders, feel the burn, is giving you a pitch on whether or not you're going to vote for them depending on whether or not they're going to forgive your student loans. The Bible says, oh, no man, nothing. Your daughter and your son is going to have to go to school and beg somebody else for forgiveness in order for them to be able to be educated and compete. Don't tell me money don't buy happiness. It absolutely does, because my wife wakes up looking out over the water every single morning. And she don't have to go out there and compete the same way that you have to compete in order to be able to pay her bills or to ensure that she got her heat turned on. And she ain't got to hear gunshots. You know why? Because money has afforded us the ability to move further out away from the trash that we don't want to even be able to see. Why? If money don't buy happiness, then how come there's so many payday loan spots in the hood? Why every person that's poor is holding up a sign saying, help me out, we'll work for food? I ain't never seen, listen, I did a homelessness project and I did it for a year. I've never seen a smile on people's faces from having to go and beg for resources in order to make sure that they can survive. Money is a tool. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. It also has a lesson about the talents. Some of the richest people in the Bible that God loved the most was some of the richest men in history at that particular time. There's so many lessons with regard to money that's in the Bible. But this is an excuse that you hear from people that refuse to do anything other than be average or don't feel like they can ever achieve anything outside of what average looks like amongst the majority of the people. And so what they do is they make an excuse and they say, well, listen, money don't make you a good person. Money don't make you happy or whatever, so on and so forth. The lack of money doesn't either. But it gives you and it affords you the opportunities that other people don't have. And if it's not a big deal, then why are y'all fighting so hard for reparations? If it's not a big deal, then how come you are fighting so hard for reparations? No worries. We're going to continue.
One thing that I know about life is that life is a constant competition from the moment that you're born all the way up until the day you die. And whatever your purpose is, you're going to constantly be competing with yourself to see if you can improve the next day better than you did.
Thank you for the super chats. Reading them shortly.
The day before. And to me, there's nothing wrong with that. To me, there's nothing wrong with striving for excellence. People can call it materialism. They can call it pursuing money or whatever. But I'm not happy when I can't pay my bills. I'm not happy when somebody in my family needs help and I don't have any money. You know what I'm saying? So that whole concept of, oh, well, money doesn't make you happy. If money don't make you happy, you're not shopping at the right stores.
Facts. Talk to him.
But if someone offered you money, a large sum of money, or to live, which one would you pick?
And this is the problem with the conversation, is because people are so far removed from the logic. What does this have to do with the price of potatoes? If somebody offered you money or the ability to live, which one do you choose? What? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? If somebody offered you either money or the ability to live, which one would you choose? Lord have mercy. God bless us. Alvin S., thank you. I'm continuing to read super chats throughout the show. Elliot, I thank you. I'm going to continue to read super chats throughout the show. The price of potatoes in China. What the hell are we talking about? Let me move on because I don't even want to continue to go on that part. I'm going to go ahead and scrub up a little bit.
Of what money affords me to be able to do, what money affords me, how money affords me to be able to live. You feel what I'm saying? So it's not I'm not going to be Scrooge McDuck and have just a freaking bin full of money that I swim in every day. The whole purpose of the money is
that's the only part that me and AM is going to disagree on. I'm going to be Scrooge McDuck and be diving in the money just like DuckTales. DuckTales, woo!
To be able to take care of the things I need to take care of so that I and my family can live a comfortable life. I don't see anything wrong with pursuing that.
No, it's nothing wrong with that. I was just making sure you just weren't a lover of money, because that's where the problems come in when people are.
No, don't make sure that I'm not a lover of money. You make sure that you are not a lover of money. Don't make sure that I'm not a lover of money. You're going to let me do what I do. Y'all let all of these other trash bags out here in the streets do whatever it is that they want to do on a regular basis. Don't make sure that I'm not a lover of anything. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I love the fact that my daughter's college's tuition is already paid for before she ever even get out of high school. I love the fact that when my wife wake up in the morning, she got a choice between driving the Benz, the S5, the S-Class, or she can go and jump in her Tesla. I love the fact that my wife got choices. I love the fact that my daughter got choices. I love the fact that we can choose to live wherever we want to live, when we want to live there. I love the fact that we can fly, and when we fly, we go about doing things the right way, right? And because we go about doing things the right way, we don't have to worry about the same things that everybody else runs with. Somebody says there's millionaires that commit suicide every day, and there's more poor people that commit suicide every day. There's more men that commit suicide than women. Every person's context is the same. Money is not the end all be all, but money is absolutely a tool that you can use in order to become more successful or empower the people that's around you. Let me tell you something. I'm tired of seeing GoFundMe's and fish fries because you can't pay for even to bury the person that you love the most. Listen, if it was up to me, I'd do away with GoFundMe's altogether. Don't tell me, but it's rich people that commit suicide every day. No, it's rich people that get knocked off every day because they're getting caught up with illegal activity. How you get it matters.
Lover of money. There's nothing wrong with, we're supposed to be prosperous. We're supposed to live in abundance. But when we focus so much on the money, not realizing that at any point it can be taken away, would you still be happy? Would you still be able to live a fulfilled life?
But I don't think that I genuinely do not believe, and I could be naive in this, I genuinely don't believe that it's people that just love money. I think people love what money can do for them.
Talk to them,
I think
AM.
people love the power that they get from money, or the ability to get certain things from money. I think the money is just the tool to get to that.
Talk to them.
Yeah, but
AM.
you have people that are deleting themselves.
Talk to them, AM. Let me fast forward a little bit.
Money is not really that big of an issue because I could lose all the money I have today.
Let me see if I can go up.
And it's because I do love money, to be real.
But does money, Fantasy Girl, does money make, if you didn't have money, would you be happy?
Probably not. I've never not had money.
So
I've never not had money. So I don't think I would find the joy in having no money. I think I would be miserable, honestly.
You never struggled?
I don't know what the hell y'all talking about, man. Let me tell you something. If I don't, I've never seen nobody that don't have money just be absolutely overjoyed every day. They wake up stressed. They wake up messed up. They wake up with their mind on things that they shouldn't even be focused on because they can't think about anything other than what it is that's facing them right there at that moment. That's why they say that you shouldn't make decisions under duress. Thank y'all for the super chats. I'm going to be reading them after this segment. Have y'all ever seen people that's broke? How they move, how they think, why they got there in the first place? They messed up. They messed up. To be broke is demonic. To be broke is demonic. Facts. Facts. To not have resources or the ability to be able to feed yourself or to have to beg somebody else in order to help you is not what being a man is all about. I don't know what y'all talking about. We don't even talk that broke shit over here. I don't think it's one. Listen, it ain't a word broke on my Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. We don't talk broken ease. I'm sorry. We don't want to have that conversation. You're never going to have me have a stream or a Patreon drop that ever says that it's cool to be broke or you can find happiness in your brokenness. I'm going to say, listen, it's important for you to fail forward, learn from your experiences, and make adjustments so that you can then, you being compensated accordingly to however it is that you feel like your value or your worth is. But you're never going to see me advocating for anybody out here being broke. That is the dumbest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Struggled before?
Girl, what happened to your Legos in a game?
Right. You know,
like Legos.
So, but who's happy broke though?
No, it's not that you're
I
like,
been broke.
It's not that you're ecstatic, but if no one has ever struggled, when you struggle, you find other ways to avoid, okay, I don't have money right now, I'm gonna go get that. But
yeah, you get on government assistance and then you let them tie you to the Democratic Party because they then say that they got your back, but that's really the thing that broke up your family. Oh, you let them tie you to government assistance, and then that's the very thing that then breaks up your family because it incentivizes you actually to divide yourself against the person that actually had your best interest at heart. Oh, you know what broke does? Broke breaks your heart. More relationships break up over money than anything else. As a matter of fact, Marriage was largely put together in a lot of different ways in order to keep resources within the family. You couldn't even marry. Why do you think that there are so many movies? Because it's a reflection of history. Why do you think that there are so many movies where they get mad at the man for choosing a chick that's a pauper or that came from the poor family? They like, fam, listen, you talk about you in love. You need to be focusing on whether or not this chick is even worthy to be in your presence, because I'm not really sure that she understands what it is that we built here for you, sir. Why do you think that they always required for the parents to pick the spouse? Why do you think that it's a concentration of power? Huh? They didn't want him picking her because she was broke and she didn't even understand the concepts behind what it is that we were building here. She too busy trying to fuck up the money, and she cause she not used to nothing. Right? She got her baby hairs over her head, and they coming all the way down to her eyebrows, and she making us look bad, and she fucking up our network and our resources. Bamboo earrings, at least 2 pair. I'm trying to tell you.
Right now, I'm not going to be miserable, because if you're miserable and you start being sad because you ain't got nothing, you ain't going to get it. You have to be in a happy state of mind to sit here and strive to get some dollars.
But see, that's why I said happiness comes in doses. You can be struggling and you might go out with your friends and you're happy in that moment. But once you leave your friends and you go back to living your regular life, you go back to being stressful about the things you have to take care of. Happiness it's not like a static, just somebody's walking around there happy every day. That's not the way it works. And I think people think that's the way it's supposed to work. And it's not.
I feel like I'm happy most days because I've never been broke.
Happiness. Like that's not that. Even if you're going out with your friends and you broke, you got a fake smile on your face. Like that's what I'm saying. Like we got to be real with ourselves.
Well, it depends it depends on who your friends are, and it depends on how good of a time you're having.
Yeah, I wouldn't even go out broke. I don't know.
I don't experience that. Somebody tell me my mic's still stacked.
Still low.
It's low now.
Oh yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of talk
How
about now?
I'm hearing a lot of talk about women saying what they want to do.
How about now?
Do for happiness.
I
hear me?
want to.
Y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. What Precious is ideally saying is that our life is priceless, and we're supposed to love people and use things, and not love things and use people. So,
and Ali is wrong. Your life is not priceless. Your life has listen. Even the Bible said you've been bought and paid for, right? A price was paid for you to even have salvation and righteousness. It took a whole nother life that was more valuable and worth way more than yours in order to ensure that you even have the opportunity for salvation. Every single person, both naturally and spiritually, has a price or a worth that is attached to whatever it is or whoever it is that they are. It is a fact. Your life is not priceless. Your life is worth X, Y, or Z. X, Y, or Z. I don't know what they told y'all. I don't know why they keep giving y'all these fairy tales. It sounds like, honestly, that y'all been watching a lot of Disney movies. It sounds like y'all been watching a lot of Disney movies. Okay, all right. So why do we have certain terms that then apply to certain groups? I'll give you an example. Why do you say white privilege? Why do you say you were raised in a white neighborhood, for example? As though that's better, because they struggling just as much as black people, to be honest with you. And there's more white people on welfare than it is black people, based off of the percentages and the population, of course. But if you look at the census of how much they make, and they struggling just as much as you are. White men was complaining about white women way before black men was complaining about black women. Why is it necessary in order for you to get a college degree to go into certain fields? Why can't anybody just walk in and do the job? Why is this man worth more than you? Why do they say you worth more dead than you are alive? These are just terms, talking points that people are just throwing out there that don't actually mean anything. Because let me tell you something. If you compare yourself against the guy that's across the street, I inherently will tell you that there is a difference between you and him. Y'all are not equal. You are not equal. The decisions that you make every single day is going to determine whether or not he's worth more than you or you're worth more than him. And when we look at people and we evaluate what it is that they've done and how it is that they're able to substantiate whether or not they're worth listening to, you don't just listen to anybody. You got to take into consideration the value that they bring.
So essentially, we're going to get money to invest in people. So I think we're taking a lot of that out of context. And we're also pretending as a society as if a man now is not choosing his money over a woman choosing the money over a man, and we're choosing money over even our children. So we got to be real, like we're in a society where we are chasing the superficial and money over investing in better people. Right now, our community is divided over money and clout right now. Like people are chasing money over our investment in each other and better quality people. So when
and he's wrong. He's wrong. He's wrong as two left shoes. Wrong as two left shoes. I see broke people get together and rah and spend more time around other broke people than I see them spending around people that can actually add value into their life. People will spend more time investing in trying to understand whether or not this person is beefing with this person, and they will actually rocking out with podcasts that give them the game or how it is that they can level up and become more successful. People will spend more money on a Netflix subscription than they will investing in themselves to better understand how it is that they can level up and become more successful. That is a myth. It is a myth. The whole idea of people really chasing a bag is a myth. People chase the thing that make them feel good temporarily, not the thing that's in their best interest long term, which is one of the reasons why people go to college and they take out a bunch of student loans instead of investing in themselves and understanding that I'm going to go into this field in order to make sure that I can pay for myself and ensure that I'm going to have a happy, successful life and I can actually provide for my children. You listen, the time that you spend with your children is null and void if you don't actually give them an opportunity in order to be better versions of themselves. I see women that have 1,000 children and they be with their children all day and they be poor and they got roaches crawling across their face and it don't mean shit because she ain't got a pot to piss in or an opportunity to give them.
Said, if you pick your life over, let's say $1 million, your life is that precious. We went to get money to invest in each other. We weren't getting money to lead people. But what essentially is happening is people are putting more investment in material things and money than each other. We ain't just loving each other like that, especially in our community. We gotta stop pretending. And the fact that we're not loving each other, we prioritize the money. Yo, at least I got money. Like, come on, y'all.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's the fact of the matter. This is the truth. People that have resources, they stay married longer. People that have resources, their relationships last longer. That is a 100% fact. People that have resources, their children generally turns out better. It's less likely for them to go to jail, less likely for them to have to need extensive therapy in order to undo all of the PTSD and the trauma that they had in order to just walk to school every day and seeing crackheads, dope dealers, and a dead body laying over there in the grass. People that have resources tend to be nicer, more amicable. They tend to have more opportunities, and so they don't stress over the same things that you stress. They walk slower. They live longer. It's a fact. People that have resources, they have stronger, longer lasting bonds and relationships with their children and their spouses. It is a fact. Look it up. And the problem is that we don't have a barrier to entry in which we hold people accountable for before we start allowing them to start having kids. So it's not about whether you have kids, it's whether or not you can afford to have kids, which is the uncomfortable conversation that people don't want to have. Dynamic Dame is always wrong. Every single thing that Dame types inside of the chat is wrong. He said rich people get cheated on more. Says who? Because poor people had the most kids out of wedlock and in wedlock. How do rich people get cheated on more? How can you substantiate that? Or are you just saying some shit?
I can't relate.
Thanks, Ali.
So I'm going to chime in because I was a little bit late, but I listened to the video. And basically what I got from what you think about the money that you...
To be able to get a beautiful woman. So how could a broke man get one? If getting a woman and marrying her is part of his happiness, how is he going to get that happiness if he's broke?
Let me ask y'all a question. Somebody said KS will be proud of you. I'm going to read Super Chat shortly. How come every single woman that jumped on Kevin Samuels' platform in order to have a conversation with him said that they wanted a what? A 6-figure dude and a high value man. Now, I'm not saying that they right. I'm not saying that they qualified. That is not even a part of this conversation. How come every single woman said that they wanted a high value man and they wanted that man to at least be making as much as them or more, or 6 figures? Just curious. Just curious. Just curious. Everybody gets cheated on. It don't matter if you got money or you don't got money. Everybody gets cheated on. Rich, poor, it's all the same. How come every single woman that jumped on these platforms, you can go and look at Kendra G's live right now. It don't matter if they dusty, busted, disgusted, 700 pounds, 300 pounds, 200 pounds, 150 or 125. They all say the same thing.
So you're saying if you don't have a girl,
hold on real quick. Before y'all answer that, AM, can you reverse that question on the other side? If a man would marry them with that same thing?
He would.
He would.
Exactly.
But that's the nature of.
No, but hold on. So then, if you're saying that you only love a man because of the material possessions and with the car he has, do you essentially really love that man? Like if you have two,
you only love him.
Ali, I hate to break it to you, but love is an action word, sir. Love is an action word, sir. It is an action word. Let me see if I can scrub through a little bit more of this, and then we're gonna move on because I want to get into this FedNow conversation.
Ourselves, you should be progressing, but okay. I'm not here to hold you to that because you should do that for yourself.
Trying to get at.
Like I feel like I have
to be able to be patient with you to grow into the man that you.
Day I go to work.
That's an impossible question.
It's not.
I think her answer is
like little to nothing in a tiny house these days. You understand there's more to life now. You don't have to get a big ass house.
Hold on, Lady Di. You're taking it too far. Hold on. What city do you live in, and what is broke? And I'll start with Real Precious, since she.
I would say, I mean, if we had to give it a number, I would say like 30, 35.
And what city you live in?
I'm not telling you what city I live in, but I do live in New Jersey.
Okay, Bruiser.
Honestly, man, I think you conflating the words. I think you're talking about poor. When you ask about salary levels, I think you're talking about poor.
No. I'm not. I'm going off of what's been getting said, not only on the panel, but in the comments.
The reason why that question can't be answered that simply is because being broke is not measured on how much money you make. It's measured on how much disposable income you have.
Fair. So what is that? What is the income level that gives people disposable income? What is that income level? We all got a number in our head. I don't know why we so afraid.
It's not about a number.
Well, it's not about a
number. Everyone else is.
The freedom.
You trying to quantify it, and I think it's being broke is not having the financial literacy, not being able to break away from.
That's mindset. That's mindset. But let's keep it real. We're going
the reason why I said it because you can make $250K and be broke.
Correct.
Spending too much money. Like
that's why you can't really say, "Oh, it's just salary." You can have $250K, but if your mindset is
what is the likelihood of somebody making $250,000 a year?
A lot of
it's a lot of
This tells me about whether or not you actually are a bag chaser or not, because the average person making 6 figures a year, especially among millennials, more than half are living paycheck to paycheck. More than half of everybody that is making more than 6 figures are living paycheck to paycheck. I'm going to leave it there because later on in this stream, they start talking about whether or not $45,000 or whether or not two people that is poor together, but then they pull their resources together, they can make it and survive. And I just couldn't do it. I didn't even want to. I said, you know what? Let me go to sleep. Shout out to the Lapeef Network continuing to do great things. I think that you guys make sure that you tune in on Thursday nights for Lapeef Let's Talk. More importantly, make sure you tune in tonight for the Anton Daniels channel on my other site, because Q is going to be doing a show and it's going to be absolutely out of control. It's going to be incredible. All right, let me read some of these super chats and see what we're talking about. Salty Apple 3 says, first of the year, econ nearly done. We chasing bags. Shout out to the bag chasers. Link is in the Patreon. Link to the Patreon is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Elliot Jackson says, about to have an Audi R8 Gen 1 leasing it through a company and slapping all of my business logos on it. Friends say I'm crazy, but my money longer. So we will see who's right here in the next 36 days. Shout out to you, Elliot Jackson. Nanga Iboko says money isn't everything, but everything makes me want it. Ain't that the truth? Alvin says, happy birthday week, AD. You preaching real good. Thank you for the fireball. I appreciate you. Elliot Jackson is in the building and says, money doesn't matter is a cop-out for those who got too content and gave up on their dreams. I'm happy in my BMW. Your content, you content in a Toyota. Stop it. Stop it. Tell them to stop it. Hey, ask everybody what their dream car is. I bet you they won't say it's a Camry. Ask everybody what their dream car is. I bet you they won't say it's a Camry. I actually put a deposit on my dream car yesterday. Or not yesterday, Friday. But shout out to you. Purple Haze is in the building, says if money is not so important, it's so not important. Why y'all fighting so hard for reparation? Bars. Appreciate you, Anton. Shout out to my dog Purple Haze with the 10 ball. I appreciate you, dog. Cody Marshall says, I'm choosing to be Scrooge McDuck. Malika Mabane says money and resources are a hell of a down payment and a gateway to your happiness. I agree. Nick Virgil was in the building. Shout out to all of my Canadians and shout out to all of my people in London too. Says, for the people that tell you money doesn't matter, money isn't everything, tell them to withdraw all of the money from their bank account and put it in yours and watch them sing a different tune. Facts. Facts. Real talk. Facts, Nick. People always talking that shit. Shout out to you for the 55 ball out there in Canadian dollars, my Canadian brethren, and thank you for holding me down, big dog. Brock says, I can't understand why people can't grasp the fact that money is a vehicle that gets places or that gets you places you can't get without it. Appreciate the hell out of a vehicle, but I'm in love with the exclusive destinations, and that's cool. But you know what money has given you? The ability to be able to pick and choose what you do and don't want to do. The ability to be able to pick and choose what you do and don't want to do. Jacquees says the panel has a nerve of talking about broke. I bet more than half of them are financing cars that they can't even afford or don't have car insurance for. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you. Let me see what else we got up in here. Want to make sure I acknowledge every single super chat. Patrick Hill says, KS will be proud of you, bro. You're the example. Shout out to my dog KS. Rest in peace. The Bird Whisperer says, would love to hop on and openly have a discussion. But where should a young man be financially in life before he considers having a family? I think it depends, right? I think that this is it's a loaded question, right? Because I think that you should get married younger. However, I think that you should also be on the pathway to success because there's no reason in subjecting somebody to something that they didn't sign up to be a part of or they didn't know that you was going to be if you just wanted to be regular for the rest of your life. I think you should always be excelling. I think the earlier the better, but I think that it's more important for you to vet who it is that you're going to be with to see if whether or not they're going to be a part of that vision. I always tell people to give me your North Star. What does your North Star look like? And they'll say, I just want to be happy. I just want to be financially free. I said, no, give me your North Star. What do you want to drive? Where do you want to go to school? What do you want your wife to be like? Do you want her to work from home or do you want her to have to bring in resources in order to help you, right? Where do you want to travel to? What kind of house do you want to live in? How many houses do you want? So on and so forth. And when they start breaking that down, then they can get a better idea of exactly where they want to be financially. So shout out to you. Great question. Butterfly Effect is in the building. Says, money buys peace of mind, which in turn manifests into happiness, etc. Have a great weekend, bag chasers. Shout out to have a great week, bag chasers. Shout out to all of the bag chasers. I recently posted inside of the Patreon. I need to get a better pulse on how many people are going to be coming to the meetup. So make sure y'all respond to that. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Fred Sampson Mayo says, money is a tool that fixes almost everything. Almost everything. Also, shout out to Tell the Truth Nation with the 2 ball says, Miles Monroe said the next power to God is money. It could buy you elections. It can buy you access and into getting into certain spaces that you never had access to. It can buy you information. It buys you insight and understanding. It can purchase a lot of different things. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all. Let's get into this FedNow conversation because I've been hearing a lot about it. And so I found somebody I think that could probably break it down for us to have a conversation about it, and then we're going to react to it. Make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and then more importantly, tap into the Patreon if you're looking to rock out with a group of people that's going in the direction that you're going in. The link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's get it popping because I really want to deep dive into this FedNow conversation.
The Chinese last month unveiled the world's first digital currency from a major power. Currency that would not be printed but would exist only in cyberspace on your phone, for example. Is the Fed working on a digital dollar?
We are actually evaluating that. Most major countries are now looking at the possibility of having a digital currency and really asking the question.
Imagine a government that creates money that has an expiration date, and if you don't use it, it'll disappear. That's happening already with the digital yuan, and Americans are rightfully skeptical.
President Biden issued an executive order to explore the creation of a U.S. central bank digital currency, effectively converting the dollar into a centralized digital currency.
The Federal Reserve just announced that it's about to show us its new digital payment system this year in July. This is having a huge ripple effect across the entire internet because the US dollar is in the process of being replaced by a central bank digital currency, or a C.
Now, the question that we want to ask ourselves, right, as we're evaluating this, because listen, FedNow, based off of what's being communicated, and based off of also using our context clues of everything that's happening with BRICS, everything that's happening with the digital yuan, everything that's happening within cryptocurrency, Biden investing $80 billion, literally $80 billion into the IRS in order to ensure that they track down every single transaction that they got going on with y'all, right? Also, everything moving digital. Now, one of the things that I like to do when I watch movies, such as iRobot, is I pay attention to certain little details. I like to rewatch the movies, right? And one of the things that he did in that movie is that he paid digitally with everything. And we started moving over into these things, slowly transitioning, but it's becoming a reality. Even the cars that you drive, they can track every single aspect of it, including where it's located, how much energy it has left in it. They can tell exactly how long it's going to take you to get to a certain destination. And even when they making updates on whether or not you can have certain services, all it is a software update that they airdrop into your vehicle, which is why cloud infrastructure is so important, not just to the companies, but also to the federal government. Thank you for all of the super chats. I'm definitely going to be reading them throughout the show. But what does a digital currency then do? Remember when we were having this conversation, maybe a year ago or so, right? And I was saying, and I was bringing to light the importance of the administrations emphasizing and implementing the tracking of every single transaction that you have happening on all of these applications such as Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, so on and so forth. Remember just a few days ago in which I gave y'all the sauce on how a lot of businesses are finessing the system, including a lot of these Asian businesses and Arab businesses, in which they're taking everything that's happening from a government system as far as all of these benefits that they given and the food stamps and the EBTs and all of this other type of stuff, right? And then they take it and they go to Sam's Club and they buy all of the food, and then they sell the food back to you, but then they also only take cash as a payment. And so what's happening is they're using their government benefits. They also getting a break from a tax perspective because they frauding. And then they also using the money that you give in fiat currency, regular dollars. They don't want you to pay digitally because then they have the ability to be able to track how much you're making in your business. They want you to have to pay with cash because they then can use that in order to ensure that they don't track that with the federal government because everything is being a hand-to-hand, right? But whenever you move digitally, You basically leaving a footprint, and they can come back and track exactly how much money you're generating. They can tax you on it. And more importantly, they can manipulate the price and how much the currency is worth. And this is what you see happening across the board. So I'm giving you the basis. I'm giving you the foundation. You don't have any privacy whatsoever. Let's continue.
CBDC. In fact, most countries around the world are creating their own right now.
What if I told you 90% now of the world's central banks say they're investigating central bank digital coins?
According to a report by Citi, by 2030, there will be up to $5 trillion digital dollars circulating the global economy. But there's a problem, because most Americans don't trust the government to do this. In the 1950s, for example, the era that was called the golden age of capitalism, when we had unprecedented economic growth and higher wages, a point in history far from perfect, but in 1958, Pew Research asked the American people if they trusted the US government to do what was in their best interest. And they did. That trust reached a peak of 77% by 1964. But over time, that trust has been gradually eroding, and today, that number has dropped all the way to 20. Only 1 out of 5 Americans trust the government to do this. And it's also why people like to use other forms of money like cash and even cryptocurrency. But right now, the government has their own idea for a CBDC, central bank digital currency. And this will have a huge consequence, not only on ideas like privacy, freedom, but even Bitcoin. So in today's video, I want to help explain exactly what this is, how this might work, and how this will ultimately affect us. So with that said, let's get right into it. Hi, my name is Andre Jick. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the new Fed payment system and CBDCs. Now, the two are somewhat connected, but they're not the same, even though people are confusing them as one.
It's a whole new system that's faster and better than traditional banking. You can go to a grocery store and buy a few items with your hard-earned money, and then you present your Fed card with a trusty Federal Reserve representative. And they'll say, oh, yeah, you're too fat, so you can't buy any of these things. The end.
Yeah, so that's not at all how it works. Here's how it actually works. This new payment system will make it so that businesses and people will be able to send and receive instant payments 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, and that's because funds will settle between banks in real time and will only just take seconds. Here's a couple examples of how this will be used in practice. Let's say you're a coffee shop owner and you needed a quick delivery of some coffee beans. Once you got a request of payment from your supplier, you would pay through a participating bank like your credit union, and the coffee bean supplier would instantly receive your payment. On the back end of things, your credit union would send an ISO 20022, which is a digital form to the FedNow service, which would validate it and send a message to the coffee beans bank. That receiving bank would then confirm in real time that it could receive the payment, and the FedNow service would then debit and credit the money and then send a message to both banks that the settlement was completed. Now, that whole process, which sounds insanely complicated, would happen pretty much instantaneously. But the system we have right now just takes a lot more banks, time, and a lot more money. And this service will eventually apply for things like bill pay and for sending money from one account to another. This will be super helpful if, for example, you have a utility bill that's due on that same day and you want to pay it right away without paying late penalty fees. Now, eventually the Fed will want us to use it for peer-to-peer transactions so we can send money to each other in the same way that we use Venmo or...
Okay, so let me break this down from a C student's perspective, because I caught everything, right? One of my talents is that I never actually took notes in school. The only thing that I ever did was show up and pay attention, right? And so from a C student's perspective, let me break this down. So essentially, the way in which money moves or transactions move today are a lot more complicated, which then makes it much more expensive for you to be able to move money here and money there, right? So for example, if you transfer money from this bank account over to that bank account, and then you say it's see pending, or it says has to be verified for a certain person. For example, I transferred $16,000 over from one account to the other account or whatever in order to make sure that I paid off the entire balance of a transaction, because I had to buy some plane tickets over the weekend in order to ensure that we flew first class, me, my daughter, and my wife, right? And so it could take us several days. It could say pending. It could say has to be verified for representative funded, but hasn't been sent yet, so on and so forth. What they're selling you in order for you to have trust in the system, because the only thing, and remember what I was telling y'all about fiat currency in the beginning, right? The only thing the only reason that the actual fiat currency that we use, the American dollar, what gives it its value is the people's trust in it, because it's not backed by anything anymore, because we no longer back it by a specific amount of precious metals that's being held by the Federal Reserve, right? And so as a result, what happens is they printed more money in order to try to solve for the problems, but then the value of the money continued to go down, which then increase inflation. So inflation means the percentage of what your money is valued at, higher or lower, depending on if you have deflation or inflation. Deflation means that your dollar becomes more valuable. Inflation means that your dollar becomes less valuable by this percentage, right? So let's just say, for example, you have inflation by 9 or 10%. That means that over a year, your dollar becomes less valuable depending on the goods and services in which you need it for. So when rent goes up, food goes up, everything goes up, the cost of doing business, now y'all financing cars at 92 months and stuff like that. And the average price of a car is approaching over $50,000. And most people is getting repoed and credit cards and transactions and flights and the things that you do on a regular basis, right? Cost more. And so that's inflation because the value of the dollar is going lower because of several different factors, including that they're printing more money that's not backed by anything. So the value of that dollar is based off of your belief in it, which is why they can't let the banks fail, which is why they then come through and they say, okay, listen, even though it's federally insured up to $250,000, we're going to make sure that these banks are protected and that you guys don't suffer as a result of it, right? Now, here's the selling point, right? Because in order for you to actually buy in, you have to adopt the system. And what they're selling you is that, listen, when you make a transaction, it happens instantly. If you had a bill that was due today, you don't have to wait until 1 to 2 or 3 business days in order for this thing to go through. We're going to make it less complicated. The banks are going to adopt it because it's going to be a much faster system. It's going to be backed by the federal government. We're going to put a lot of resources into it. And so not only is it going to cost the banks less money, the banks will then be incentivized in order to sell you and push you to use it because then they get their money immediately and we don't have all of these complicated transactions. Or we also don't have all of the fraud and the problems because we can then verify this based off of the systems that the federal government got in place in order for you guys to have a trust and belief in it. So in order for this thing to actually work, because they're going to introduce it, what he's basically saying is that he broke down all of the different processes. But from a C student's perspective, to give you the cliff notes, what he's saying is that they're incentivizing you to have more trust in it, and they're going to move much faster with use of it, and they're going to make it less expensive for the bank to adopt it in order for the people to truly believe in it. Okay? They're going to make it easier for you to do things, for things to clear faster, for it to be much, much safer according to what they're selling you in order for the banks to then push it out to you so that you guys can adopt it in the same way that you believed in the 30-year mortgage that was better than renting. That's what he's selling you in a nutshell, okay?
Or Apple Pay. For now, though, this service will only be made available to people within the United States, so you won't be able to send money instantaneously overseas. Now, this will be rolled out in phases starting in July, but already in the first week of April, they're giving out formal certifications for their, quote, participants. So that is the FedNow payment system, which is tied to the CBDC, the central bank digital currency. So let me explain what that is. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor. Inflation and the declining economy are extremely stressful, especially for to identify fraud, anything that might expose using my link now, or countries are in the testing phase. 32 countries are developing their own right now. 39 are trying to figure it all out and researching. Only 15 are inactive and 2 are canceled. But all in all, 114 countries representing 95% of the world's GDP are in some way involved with this process, including the US. Now, the obvious question is, why is the Federal Reserve so focused on digitizing dollars if the dollar is already digital and it's already on our phone? The answer is, there's a huge difference between true digital currency and the system we have today, because our current monetary system relies more on digital claims of currency. This is why when we use banks and we transfer from one account to another, or we use apps like Zelle and Venmo and Apple Pay, we're actually sending digital IOUs and digital claims to money, but not necessarily the money itself.
So essentially, when you have to go, from a C student's perspective, remember, when you have to go and you got to take whatever monies, say I got a $20 bill here and I got a $5 bill here and I want to send this over to you. I literally have to go and I have to put this in there in order for you. And I'm going to send $5 to him and I'm going to send $5 to you. And I got to make sure that I got enough money in my different bank account. Making it rain $5 bills over here. Every Monday I go and I get a bunch of money in order to be able to give out to the people. We're going to take all of this money and it's actually, we just send in digital IOUs, right? So when you see pending, but we got an available balance, you're sending digital IOUs across the board, but it's still backed by this stuff. Still backed by this stuff. This paper, that's not even worth how much it's printed on.
That's why banks need to use third-party banks to verify transactions to make sure that the money we are sending exists there in the first place. And a true digital currency would be true value transferred from A to B without the use of a bunch of third-party banks. All of this is starting to sound kind of like the things crypto is already trying to solve, except there's a couple huge differences. CBDCs are controlled through a private network by the government, so they're not decentralized, and that gives the government full control over its supply and how quickly they can move it from point A to point B. And with that, there's a lot of pros and a lot of cons. Now,
have y'all ever seen Dead Presidents? If y'all have not watched the movie, I know I give y'all a lot of movie references. I told y'all to watch Family Man the other day. I'm telling you that you should go and watch Dead Presidents. Don't just watch Dead Presidents for the Chris Tucker scene or Bokeem Woodbine or any of that type of stuff, right? Lorenz Tate. Watch it for the understanding of how they broke down why the government burns money. Why does the government burn money? Can y'all answer me that question? Why do they then release the new bills and then they gather up the old bills instead of leaving them in circulation? And then ask yourself why they're burning the money. Why are they getting money and then getting rid of it and getting rid of the old bills in order to keep new bills in circulation? We're going to talk about that tomorrow.
there's a ton of opinions on this subject, so I'm going to save mine toward the end of the video if you want to see that. But if the government creates their own CBDC, here's what that would allow them to do that's good and not so good. A central bank digital currency would give the Fed direct control over the supply of money, which is actually good, because right now they already do this with something called quantitative easing. We saw this during the pandemic when they flooded the economy with money by buying mortgage-backed securities and treasury bonds. But it can also shrink the supply of money through quantitative tightening, which is the same process but in reverse, by selling off their assets, which is what they're doing now, with the exception of this anomaly, which represents all of those failed bank bailouts. The point is this: our financial system is so complicated that it almost works like a Rube Goldberg machine if you've ever seen those. So think of this new central bank digital currency system as financial enslavement, but with less steps. If I disappear, it was not by magic. Another benefit is speed. Because money will be programmable, it would hypothetically stabilize the value of the dollar, and it would modernize the banks. It would also make sending money and stimulus by the government much faster, and in theory lower the cost of banking because it would force the banks to compete with the Fed to make transfers and even ATM machines much cheaper. A CBDC would also help with tax revenues because most people wouldn't have to file their taxes. Instead, the government would know exactly how much money we've made, so they would send us an invoice and we would just have to pay. So it's...
Think about that. Think about it. Listen, tie it all in. Why does the government want to know? Because it's a multifaceted issue, right? Why does the government want to know and want to move everything over into a digital currency? Why would they want to get rid of this? Give me 5 reasons why they would want to get rid of this. A, because they don't have any other choice in order to compete with China, especially with regard to a digital currency, because China is moving over into the digital currency. B, so that they can ensure that you are giving them their fair share. You giving them their fair share. You have to give the government money in order for the government to remain solvent, and also make sure they push all of these social programs. But more importantly, now you can't go over to Homegirl's tax service in which she say, listen, I can get you more for your money, because every single transaction is digitally recorded, and then you get your W-2s and whatever it is that you're supposed to have, you have to be able to justify it. If everything moves over into a digital currency, listen. For the bag chasers, I gave you the software that we use for our bookkeeping over here, right? I gave you the software that I use for the book. If you did not watch it, go watch the mastermind sessions, go watch the webinars. It is there. I'm not going to give it to the general public, okay? I gave you the software that we use for bookkeeping, right? One of the things that any good software, whether you got an accountant, whether you got people that do it internally, whether you got both, right, is that what happens is you can tie your bank accounts and your credit cards that you're using from a business perspective over into these platforms, right, in order to be able to just automatically import every single transaction, right? And then you can go through, and it's supposed to make it easier. You can go through and you can upload the receipt to this software, or you can use your cloud infrastructure or your cloud software in order to keep the receipts, because you need to be keeping your receipts. But it automatically sorts it, and you can go through and it'll tell you exactly what was done for meals and entertainment, what was done for marketing and promotion, what was done as far as how it was that you need to pay people for payroll, professional services such as contractors, content creation, so on and so forth. And you can literally sort it, and it makes it easier for whoever it is that's doing the bookkeeping on a daily basis to keep track of all your transactions, right? Now, here's the question that you need to ask yourself. If the federal government is able to easily see a digital path by which you use in order to justify whether or not you can actually get your PPP loans, when everybody was applying for their PPP loans, you're right, no more off the book work. No more off the book work. When everybody was applying for their PPP loans, guess what? They didn't know that the way they were going to get flagged as far as being a fraud was that the federal government already had a digital footprint of whether or not that business even existed, how many employees, whether or not you were paying payroll taxes, the whole thing. And so when y'all got that little bit of money, all y'all did was set yourselves up in order to go to jail. Now it will make it much, much easier to be able to track you guys. It's going to make it much, much easier in order for them to be able to find out whether or not you fraud or not. It's going to make it much, much easier for them to be able to control the banks. It's going to be making it much, much easier for them to be able to control the value of the currency. But the first thing that they have to get you to do and get the banks to do is adopt this system and then get your belief and your trust in it. Because if they force you, it's going to be much different than easing it into you and then saying that, listen, we can't afford not to do it anymore because it costs us too much money to do this. This is a cost-saving money measure. All it's doing, FedNow gives tabs on every single thing that you do. You're not even going to be able to do a drug transaction. Think about it. It's going to ensure that the federal government gets their cut from everything. You want to go to the strip club and throw money at them hoes? Nope. You're gonna have to cash app that hoe. And she gonna have to justify the cost of it. You want to give somebody else an extra tip? Nope. They got to make sure that they pay their fair share over to the federal government. You want to act like you didn't spend no money or you didn't send it over here or all these hairdressers is over here underreporting their earnings? Nope. They coming to get you. They want all of your money. It's over. It's over. Listen, this is coming. This is coming. It is being released in July, according to what he's saying. And every single thing that you do, every single payment that you make, every single finesse that you got going on is now going to be available for the federal government. And then eventually, once you go to court, available for the general public once you get convicted of fraud. It's not the rich people that's going to get caught up in the bullshit. It's going to be the middle class people that get caught up. It's not going to be the rich people that get caught up in the bullshit. It's going to be you. The middle class is going to be the ones that suffer the most. I'm telling you, it's over for y'all. If y'all had any leg to stand on, it's over. It's over. It's it. That's it. I had a guy that I had come in here and I interviewed him, and I'm going to be dropping it in the Patreon within the next 2 weeks, right? And he was the guy, y'all gonna love this. Patreon members, y'all gonna love this. Bag Chasers link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. He was actually the guy that created the burner phone. Yes, he is from here in Detroit, and he was the guy that created the burner phone and made it popular. And he had the federal government on his ass, and they were trying to give him 30 years in prison. He was one of the hackers from the late 80s, early 90s. Man, he had some crazy stuff that he was telling me about what was happening digitally, about what his past was, the whole 9 yards. He is the guy that created the burner phone. Y'all gonna love this interview. He made millions and millions of dollars before. This is a crazy interview. We was sitting there with our mouths open like, really? And I'm actually have him back for more conversations. He didn't even want me to say his last name. He had to go and get it cleared by his lawyers. They got a documentary being made about him on Netflix. It's crazy. He talked about the things that he's seen in prison, negotiating with the federal government for how much time he was going to get. And get this. Get this. At the end of the day, you know how much time he did? 10 months. 5 months on a tether, and then 5 months in a halfway house. He did 10 months. And he cost millions and millions and millions and tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how he said that he did it. Let me play a little bit more of this.
It sounds like a lot of really great benefits, but unfortunately, there's a lot of downsides and a lot of risks.
So what the central bank digital currency is all about is surveilling Americans and controlling behavior of Americans. And how do we know? Because we've seen this happen in other parts of the world.
People are calling the concept of CBDCs as Big Brother's digital dollar. And it makes sense why people are skeptical, because CBDCs will be tied to your unique digital ID that'll be used to build your social proof, which all sounds exactly like that.
And you are known by a number. Your name does not matter. The only thing that matters is your digital ID. And basically, y'all going to become prisoners the same way that they refer to prisoners in prison by whatever their number is, what's your number or whatever. Your social security number is now going to become your digital ID.
The next plot of a Black Mirror episode, if the government wanted, they could freeze your assets, and if they don't like what you're spending, with the flick of a switch, your bank account now shows zero.
Mr. President, the Blemflark value just dropped to nothing. What do you mean? I mean, our single centralized galactic currency just went from being worth 1 of itself to 0 of itself.
Oh, dear God, no. Calm down, people. Deploy the galactic militia and declare martial law.
Yes, sir. What should I pay them with? Their payment is the honor they'll feel to serve their... Wait, who's paying me to yell at this guy?
Give me your jacket! Give me those...
The creation of a CBDC would give them the technological power to do exactly that. If the government wanted to encourage spending, they could airdrop some dollars in our bank accounts instantaneously, which sounds nice. But if they want to discourage saving, with the flick of a switch, the money could have an expiration date, which is exactly what China did to encourage spending. Now,
how much control is that? That is absolutely positively insane. Now, the question that you want to ask yourself, because I don't want to beat a dead horse, the question that you want to ask yourself is, how much power do you want the federal government to have control over, whether or not you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, or just transparency in how it is that you're using your money in general? A lot of y'all like to go over to these porn sites and y'all spending a lot of money, and you don't want your chick to know you over here supporting this OnlyFans model. You keep telling her that you going over there. A lot of people are asking me who this guy is. This guy is... Here, let me get his information for y'all just to make sure.
The Chinese last month.
This is him, right here. Andriy Zik. Andriy Zik is his name. Andriy Zik. Y'all can go over his channel, check it out. He got over 2.2 million subscribers. And he breaks down exactly what it is that's going on. Make sure y'all tap into that. And
the Chinese last month unveiled.
So, let me read some of these super chats, and then we gonna get it popping. Cuban Libertarian is my guy. Says check out Coin Bureau. Hey Rita, if you're watching this, write that down. We're gonna check out Coin Bureau. Let's see what we got going on. What else is happening? Executive Suite MLE is in the building. Says, I hate how our folks try to make you feel guilty for having money or desire to attain wealth. It makes them feel good about their shortcomings. Sad. Well, the problem with that, though, for them is that I'm never going to feel bad about being rich. I'm never going to feel bad about being rich. Like, you're never going to. I dropped the video, Executive Suite MLE, on Sunday. I dropped a video where I was breaking down because I was at the dealership with my wife and my daughter, and I actually went there to put a deposit down on a Revelto or a Lamborghini Revelto, and then I wind up putting a deposit down on 2 Lamborghinis. Now, for the Patreon members, I'm gonna break down exactly why I put a deposit down on 2 Lamborghinis. I'll probably do that in person specifically, all right? But then people was like, "Oh, you see his receipts? It didn't even have no stuff on it." So I'm in the Lamborghini dealership with receipts, but they empty. Should I go and get the receipts right now? Let me go get my receipts. If you believe that Anton is getting it like that, then you crazy. If you believe that Anton is getting it like that, then you crazy. Let me see what I can and can't put on here. Because I got my phone number on some of these. All right, let me put this up. All right, so sold at MSRP. All right. So that's all I'm willing to show. That's all you get. That's all you get. That's all you get. Sold at MSRP. That's all you get. All right. Ooh. All right. We need to get into other aspects of the show. Let me read the rest of these super chats and then we're going to get it popping. All right. Hold on one second. Hold on. Make sure I don't miss none. Gotta acknowledge the people. You know, Anton like to show the receipts. We do it for the haters. We want them to feel a certain type of way. Anyways, shout out to Executive Suite MLE. Plato says, how can we make money with this? What, with FedNow? Is that what you're talking about? Mika G says, oh, shout out to you saying I'm amazing. I'm going to drop it in the Patreon. I'll actually show all of the receipts inside of the Patreon. Somebody, shout out to Mika G for the 20 ball. Hey, somebody said you're going to wish you never bought that Lamborghini. Wait on it. Wait on it. Shout out to you. Shout out to Mika G for holding me down. Kingdom Minded says PayPal too. I agree. PayPal too. Larry Walker is in the building. Says, Anton, do you trust in U.S. savings bonds? I've never had a U.S. savings bond in my life, so that should tell you the answer. No, I wouldn't put my stuff in a U.S. savings bond. Nate is in the building. Says you could opt out of this system by simply buying and transacting in Bitcoin. FedNow is a copy of the blockchain, and CBDC is what Bitcoin is to the blockchain. We don't have to lay down and accept this. The problem with that, though, is that there's too many people that's going to do it because we sheep. And so it would be great in order for people to actually say, well, we're not going to lay down and accept this. But the majority of the people is going to do it anyway, all right? Eric Hart says happiness and broke can't coexist at the same time. I agree. Butterfly Effect is in the building. Says this is disconcerting to be surveilled to such a degree. Who wants to be monitored like that? Too late. It's too late. We already there. Every single person is going to adopt this philosophy and this policy, and digital and regular currency. Everything is moving over to digital currency. There's nothing that you can do about it. There's nothing that you can do about it. This is just for informational purposes. I think that is wrong. I think it's going to be a bad thing, but I don't think it's anything that we're going to be able to do about it. So just get ready, gird up, and make some informed decisions. Which one do we want to talk about? Let's talk about this one right here. Let's talk about this one. All right. Male feminists versus female anti-feminists. Now, this, in my opinion, is a reflection of exactly what we're dealing with in society and why we then have to make some adjustments as individuals within our own little spheres and our own little groups. I think it's too late, honestly. I think it's too late for us to save the communities as a whole. So much so to where I'm even evaluating what decisions that I'm making and if I'm making the right decision to even buy up a block or do this. Oh, you said check your PayPal. Y'all holding me down like that? Let me read some of these Cash Apps and Super Chats really quickly. Give me a second. Let me read some of these. Let me make sure I hold y'all down. Shout out to Brian Horsley. Says, well, I'm still on Team Anton. Keep cooking with the 25 ball. Shout out to my dog, Brian. I appreciate you. And then also hit me with another 10 ball. Another 10 ball. Says, for you handled Yanny like a boss. Shout out to Ralph. I appreciate you, Ralph, for the 10 ball. I also want to give a shout out to Celeste Jones. I want to also acknowledge Mike That Dude and Bella. I also want to acknowledge Bella. Let me also give a shout out to all of my Cash Appers in the building. Let me read the message before I say anything. Shout out to Charmaine Moore is in the building. Shout out to Charmaine Moore. Let me read this. It says, happy birthday. I'm a woman. Anyone that got on that female's live stream without confronting your daughter, and wife's image on the thumbnail is a waste. Have no fellowship with them. Your birthday is 4/13. Please read 1 Corinthians 4 and 12 through 13. Anton, be as bold as a lion, but answer softly in humility. Shout out to you. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are like the greatest tribe ever. The greatest tribe ever. I love y'all. I genuinely love y'all. Y'all are the greatest ever. Thank you. All right. Reading Super Chats and Cash Apps throughout the show. I appreciate y'all. Thank you to my people. Y'all are the greatest ever. Let's get into this video. I have not watched it, by the way.
Can I ask you a question, though, or ask the group?
Somebody did send it to me, so I felt like it was necessary for us to check it out.
Question. There's more world leaders who are male, and typically I think
Good,
leadership...
that's a good thing. Women should not be in positions of extreme leadership like presidents.
Oh, she already attractive just by her stance and her statement. Let me see if I can speed this up.
Et cetera, because we're too emotional.
I'm feeling a lot of emotion right now.
Make money. He has to build influence. He has to become a protector, a provider. Women just have that naturally by just having a vagina, as I
That's
said.
why it's frustrating, because the feminist movement has been all about women acting like they don't have rights and acting like they have it pretty hard in the modern day world. I can't think of a single thing that I don't have that a guy has, or
that they only have. I would say the one thing I would say is the safety thing. That's the only thing that I would say is that women are disadvantaged from. By nature, women are not as physically strong. I mean, you're physically strong, but as physically strong.
I'll take it.
It's great biceps. And men just are. And if you're walking down a dark alley as a woman, you're going to feel some type of way sometimes,
That's
right?
why we need guns.
Well, there you go.
I'm going to talk a little bit more about like the judicial system. When it comes to, let's say, domestic dispute, if a woman calls the police, they automatically show up, arrest the man. This the Duluth model, I think is how you pronounce it. And that's already in place. It's not necessarily like a right or anything, but it's certainly in all of the police departments. Is if feminism is all about equality, why would you automatically arrest a man? When they arrest him, his name is in the newspaper automatically. The fact that a woman can say Jane Doe and she doesn't have to put her name out there, what skin in the game is there?
And there's so many instances of that. I know men personally who have had domestic violence within their relationship with children involved, unfortunately. And the woman attacked the man in front of the child, and he's still, I know 2 instances personally, and he's still fighting to get the child back. That's from the Me Too movement. Congratulations. You guys got that.
It kind of of invalidates the women who do come forward and who have faced rape and sexual assault and all of that, because then it kind of turned into a Twitter hashtag where women were like, oh, you know what, I'm going to do it. Like, this seems fun. Like,
for class,
it's not fun.
I think it's a mixed bag. I don't think the Me Too movement was inherently harmful. It's the Me Too movement when you couple it with something like believe all women. That's when it becomes
and the victimization of women who aren't really victims.
The prompt is, do women have more privileges? We have privileges simply by virtue of being women. We have privileges with affirmative action. We have privileges in family court, and we have privileges as far as being believed and forgiven. It's something that should be acknowledged.
That's correct. Can I have the disagreeer step forward?
I appreciated the distinction of more versus different privileges.
Hold on, wait. So all of these women are anti-feminists. And the reason why I didn't stop is because there was nothing that they said that I disagreed with. There was nothing that they said that I disagreed with. Every single thing and every single point that them chicks hit was on point. Every single one of them. What have we come to? What in the world? You got this man alpha athlete, and I'm assuming that this guy is going to be on the other side of the fence. I did not hear one thing that they said wrong. Women are inherently protected. The fact that you don't even have to put your real name when it is that you're making an accusation against a man that's doing something that he may or may not be guilty of, right? The idea that you advocate for equal, but you actually don't want equal. You only want equal benefits. You don't want equal repercussions that come along with what that looks like. That the family court system or law enforcement are automatically going to take women's side. That women should not be in certain positions of leadership because they're too emotional as a result of it, and that's just inherently the way that they were built. If we had more women like this, I would actually probably listen to them within these spaces. If we had more women like this on the internet, I would probably listen to them more in these spaces. But neither here nor there. Let's continue.
You can't just use a broad brush and paint the entire debate and say, all right, well, this is men have more than women, that's it. Like, women that must inherently then have no privileges. That's not how it works. And that's where we start to get into the idea of like intersectionality, where another woman who had a different experience, if it was a trans woman, if it was a woman of color, if it was a woman who...
Well, first of all, ma'am, sir, ma'am, whatever you are, right? Let's be clear. We are talking about, hopefully they're talking about what you were biologically born. Thank you, Isaiah. I appreciate you. What are you biologically born? You can't say oh my God, this world is so messed up. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think that it's the men. I think it's the men. I think it's the men that refuse to stand up, and it's the simps. Let me stop saying men. I think there's a difference between a man and a simp. A man is a person that truly stands on what it is that he stands on, and he's moving in his masculinity unapologetically. A simp is a person that says stuff for the validation of women and will say the wrong thing, obviously knowing that they're wrong, just to be able to get a woman's approval as though she gonna fuck them at the end of the conversation.
We're including trans women into feminism.
And I think we definitely should.
I don't think we should at
all.
I think that trans women should not be a part of the feminist movement because a man, just because they, wake up and feel like they can be a woman one day, could come in and then suddenly know what it's like to have a period or know what it's like to have a child. It's anything from men replacing women in sports to men replacing women on podcasts during Women's Month, and when we're talking about women's health, or you've even got biological men who think they're women going to the White House speaking on behalf of all women.
I do have a question for you based on the prompt.
What kind of fucking world are we living in to where the only logical people that's actually having a conversation looks to be white women? The only logical people that are starting to make sense, that support men, that advocate for men, seems to be white women. Now, Anton, you're going to hit a nerve right there. You're going to hit a nerve right there. She said everything, and that's a part of the sentiments of my heart. What is it? What else is there to say? I'll be goddamned if we get a woman which is one of the reasons why I have a problem in this space in the first place. I'd be goddamned if we get a woman. Reading super chats throughout the show. Thank you. Thank you, louder fourth. If we get a woman, which is one of the reasons why I'm having a problem today, that comes in here and tell us what it is that we supposed to do as men. That I'm not a real man if I don't do this. That I'm not a this and I'm not a that. I don't see it. I don't see. You can't tell me that. Nope. That other chick, y'all saying it in the chat. She Nigerian. She Nigerian. Half of y'all don't even like. Listen. Most of these women that's on the internet that's talking this blackity black, you know what they did before it became a black versus white thing? It was a black foundational black American descendant of slave ADOS. See, I remember, I listened well. It was ADOS against immigrants. Let me beat a dead horse for a second, right? Hey, Sarah Garvey, they didn't even fuck with you. They didn't even like you. I seen black people, and specifically black women in this space, said that we don't fuck with immigrants. I don't care what color you are. They said we don't fuck with you unless you are an American descendant of slaves. They didn't even fuck with Sarah. And then all of a sudden, Sarah became their champion and a hero. Because their enemy of their enemy then became their friend. Their enemy of their enemy. They didn't fuck with him because they actually liked Sarah. They only fucked with him because Sarah was just a chess piece that they were using in order to try to move a bigger piece off the board. How the tables have turned. How the tables have turned. But now, I guess that the only one, maybe this is why the passport bros is, I don't know. I'm just making an observation. Maybe this is why the passport bros are so popular, because the passport bros don't even fuck with these women that's over here. But then you got the women that's saying, yo, we rock with the passport bros, but the passport bros don't even fuck with y'all. Let's continue.
Though, because you've lived in both experiences, at least socially, I'm curious, when you transitioned to male and people started perceiving you as male, like most people did today, what privileges changed for you, or what did you see enter your life that you didn't have before?
Yeah, and that's sort
of. So that's a biological woman. That's a biological woman based off of her question. They're saying that the person speaking right now is not even a real woman based off of how they were born. Wow.
Sort of where a lot of my beliefs in feminism do lie is because being out into the world as a gay woman was the way I was seen.
Thank you, Anton K.
Men
I'm
treated
reading
me
super chats and cash app.
definitely not nearly as well as they did. I was bullied in school. I had people call me slurs, and it seemed like it was because I was threatening to like the male structure that we are in, where it's like male and female. Because I was a female who liked females, I was somehow infringing on that, and so they didn't like me. Things change naturally when you socially transition and are perceived by the world in a different way. When I transitioned,
look at that. Look at that person right there. This is a wild world that we live in nowadays, ladies and gentlemen. I think we are in the end of times. I think that we are at the end of times, y'all. Honestly, I think we are at the end of times.
From being perceived as female to the world to just pretty much passing or blending full-time as male was that I got a lot more respect from other men. People listened to me and took me seriously. In a social passing setting, people aren't going to harass women who are around me if I'm walking with them at night, which is just a benefit I never thought about.
With caveat, actually, so I say that yes, there are some privileges that women have that men don't, but also there's privileges that men have that women don't. I don't think women are more privileged in our society because I could get a woman pregnant and I could just run away.
They could get you
Well, they
for
can get you
child
for child
support.
support, which they
But
do.
are you saying she can't run away?
Go to jail.
Are you saying she can't run away from the
money.
pregnancy?
But you could actually physically leave. I know what you're saying.
At the end of the day, like, I don't see women having more privileges than men because we don't have the same, there's no way to objectively measure it.
Well, and in the scenario that you pointed out, I mean, if a woman was pregnant, she wouldn't be able to get an abortion in most
In some
parts
states,
of the country.
yes.
Yeah.
In some states,
that's a major disadvantage.
Yeah. You can't get an abortion, but children can go get a gender change at 12 with a
Feels
parent
like you're very
at 15
fixated on that.
without consent.
That's not true.
It feels like you're very fixated on that.
I know the laws as well.
I went through this.
I know, in some states you can, and in Thailand you can go at 16 and get your everything cut off.
Guys, it's less than 5%.
I know.
It
It's
doesn't matter.
It's such a small
It doesn't
subset
matter.
of the
But
population.
you can't say that about, it does matter, that when you have a child, you're not a
That's
parent
between
yet.
the parent and the child.
Can I ask you a question, though, or ask the group a question? There's more world leaders who are male, and typically I think
Good, and
leadership...
that's a good thing.
I know it's
Well, he
weird
was
coming
talking
from
to
me,
me.
but I do want to know, it doesn't bum you out that it's less likely for a woman to become president?
I don't feel.
Why would that be bummed out? Why would that be bummed out? You know, one day I asked my wife, I said, do you miss working like a regular job? And she was like, for what? So I can have to go and pay bills? Yo, have y'all ever seen a president from the time that they become president to the time that they leave, especially when they do 2 terms? Look at the before and the after picture just from 8 years of Obama. Whether you agree with his politics or not, I'm going to be reading super chats and cash apps in a second. Look at the difference between what Obama looked like before he became president and after he became president, or after he got out of the presidency, and tell me that any woman would want to do that job. Why would you want to? Why would you want the stress that's associated with that? Why would a woman be bummed out about being forced to make decisions that men have to make on a daily basis, and then have the life and the balance of what happens in society in your hands and in your palms, or whether or not you're going to send soldiers to war, whether or not you're going to put somebody else's life on the line in order to sacrifice to make it okay for 100 over here, right? Why would a woman want to ever have to deal with the stresses of that? As a man, there is no way in the world that I would ever want my wife to be in a position of stress like that. There is no way that I, as a husband, as a father, there is no way in the world that I would ever advise my daughter or my wife to ever put themselves in a position to where they would ever be subjected to that level of stress. That's insane. What man would ever stand by while their woman go through some stuff like that? You know what that does to her body? You know how that breaks her down? You know how much stress it is just as a man in life in general?
Bummed out because I know that if I want to pursue something that I want to do, I have every capability to do it in this country.
I don't feel bummed out. Women should not be in positions of extreme leadership like presidents, et cetera,
Exactly.
because we're too emotional.
I'm feeling a lot of
emotions
Men
right
can be
now.
impulsive.
I'm not saying that men can't be emotional.
Like we had a
Men are
president,
more
we had a
logical.
president who would literally just
And now
go
we
on
have president
Twitter
whose
every
brain
day,
doesn't
every
work.
second.
Wait, one person so she can hear us.
To be logical and to be sound is not something defined by gender. It's just something defined by your own
The
psychology.
left and right brain, it
That's just
actually
false.
is though.
That's
That's
just
not
false.
false. It's not.
Okay, so who brought the dumb jock on the panel? Who brought the dumb jock on the panel because he got the muscles? I guess they had to find the guy that wear an alpha athlete shirt that get pegged possibly on the panel to say some of the dumbest shit and to be the most uneducated and unintelligent just because he had the muscles. Okay, I see the role that they playing.
Come on, man. Come on. Really? Really?
Your question about leadership, I think, is a very poignant question because a lot of people are asking that. Why don't we see more female presidents? Why don't we see more female CEOs or Fortune 500 companies? And again, it goes back to those gender differences. There will be women who will be exceptions to the generalized rule of what it means to be feminine.
Exactly.
And those women you will see succeed in extreme leadership. But we should also discuss what the conditions of extreme leadership are. We're talking 80-hour work weeks, subscribing yourself to your career and nothing else.
Going family,
and
children.
Psychologically and biologically, women tend to lean in the direction of not making those choices for themselves, while men are highly competitive, they are highly analytical, systematic, they're willing to put in that time and take extreme measures to gain career status.
Exactly.
Oh man, she just sounded incredibly sexy with the way that she broke that down. But more importantly, the anomaly does not make the rule. The anomaly does not make the rule. So you can't then take what the anomaly is. That would be like taking a David Goggins and saying all men should be like this. No, most men can be inspired in order to follow the path and the mindset that he had in order to be able to conquer and achieve some of the things that he's been able to achieve. But every man can't be David Goggins. He's the exception, and he's somebody that you can inspire and take inspiration from, but he is not the rule, right? The inherent nature of men, if you look at how we're biologically built, just by default, you cannot, which is one of the reasons why they sitting here complaining about all of the men transitioning over into women's sports. I think we should do it. I think we should do it. I think we should do it. I believe that we should only have one sport for each thing. I'm going to tell you why. It's not because I believe that we should be able to let people identify as whatever it is that they want to identify. Recently, there was a guy that said that I just feel like a woman, and he went over and he crushed women's weightlifting, in which the reason why he did it is because there was a man that was taking hormone treatment and then said that they identified as a woman. And I believe it was like women's bench pressing or something like that, the worldwide record, and went over there and crushed all of the thing. And so that same person that now identifies as a woman complained that a man said he felt like a woman, and then he went over there and he crushed that other person's record, right? But let me tell you why. I think that there should just be one sport, because then we can get rid of the WNBA. Listen, it's one sport. If you're able to outdo all of the men, if you're a woman and you're able to outdo all of the men, then you can participate. Otherwise, we can get rid of this failed sport in which the NBA got to put over $10 million a year, and we can stop hearing all of these women advocate for equal pay, considering that they don't generate the same revenue. Then we will be able to get rid of the WNBA. It's the only reason. The only reason that I'm advocating that we only have one sport, and then if we just have basketball, right? And that way we ain't got to look at no more WNBA players out there looking rough with their edges on 10. You know what I'm saying?
In egalitarian society, it's about having that choice to make that decision.
Yes,
that's what feminism
but we
is about.
do,
It's
but
about
we already
having-
have that choice. We do have that
If
choice.
I want to
go
own
own my own company,
it's
I
being
can.
restricted.
Like I said in the beginning, we've all agreed that the beginning of feminism was going in the right
Humanizing
direction.
women,
It
right.
was humanizing women. It was making them equal to men. It was giving us the same opportunities so that we can go vote, so that I can go get a job, so that I can drive a car. Like
She can
there's
run for
other
president if she
countries
wants.
that I know that we weren't talking about other countries, but if you want to talk about feminism, go protect the women who get beat up for driving a car in other countries.
Men are falling behind in society.
I just think, we have amazing men here today. It's an honor
thank
to
you.
be on this
You
panel
really
with
know
you,
me.
to see this masculine energy. However, I know that men are not able to be men anymore. Because of the feminists, modern feminist propaganda, I coach men in my practice and they tell me, like, I don't even know what I can do on a date anymore. Can I ask a woman out? Am I gonna get in trouble for this now? Like, I really like her. I kind of want to put my hand around her waist, but maybe that's gonna, I'm gonna be all over social media, this kind of thing. And I think men don't have the balls anymore to just stand up and be a man, be dangerous. Be fierce.
I want to respond to a lot of what you said.
Please.
Does anybody else want?
You make a really interesting point. However, I feel.
Why do we keep having a person that has the least ability to be able to speak, that should not be talking the most, keep having a microphone? I don't even want to hear this person no more.
Like, a lot of the reasons why men can't actively express masculinity in a positive way is because of the patriarchal structures that we have. Part of where I'm coming from with this is I'm trans. So I was born female. Now I present as male. I came out socially and medically transitioned at 18.
Okay.
The feminist movement is what helped me feel empowered enough to be who I am and be a man.
And no disrespect to your process. I know it's a very strenuous thing that you go through, but I see a woman still. I feel feminine energy from you.
That's all right. I
And
totally
so when you
respect
say
that.
you're a man, then it's like, I don't see that.
The way I think about it is more like about individual choice and individual freedom. And if I want to say that I have feminine energy and people view me as masculine or vice versa, then that's their problem, that's not my problem. And for me, that's what feminism is about giving people the choice to act in accordance with however the hell they want to.
But that's a very dangerous society.
That's not how feminism started, though. Yeah, we went from, you know, wanting equal rights for women and equality for women, and now it's
Humanizing
kind of
women, right?
humanizing women,
Yes.
making it to where I think we all agree, you know, women now are equal to men, and with like third and fourth wave feminism, especially fourth wave feminism, it's kind of turned into individuality, like you said.
It doesn't take a man to tell me how to be a man. It doesn't take a woman either. I can define myself as a man how I want to. I don't need somebody like Andrew Tate to be like, you're not a man unless you do this. I also don't need a woman to come up and be like, you're not a real man if you don't do this. And it's the same with femininity. I'm not gonna tell you how to be a woman. I don't think another woman should tell you how to be a woman either.
So what would you tell kids?
Yeah, like you have a daughter. Do
Yeah.
you really want to be guided by the ambiguous, define yourself as however you want to define yourself? And for her mind to be molded and shaped by men who, no disrespect, women who turn themselves into men and then turn themselves back and say there's a lot of dissatisfaction when the root of the problem wasn't the gender, it was everything else.
Let's slow down, though. I feel like
I looked at the percentages.
transitioning, but that's
I looked at
neither
the
here nor there.
percentages.
That's also a minority.
No, don't get offended. They asked one person a question that got a daughter.
It feels like you're bundling a lot of ideas, which makes it hard to respond. But
Well, because there's so much data to support
can you repeat
these.
what's the main question?
Do you
want me
want
to
your
answer?
daughter's mind to be formed and shaped by a society that tells her it's okay to be masculine and to be a man, and that she
Totally.
doesn't need a man, and that it's better off for her to be alone and put her career first and not have children?
I think it's more likely than not that she'll probably follow a more conventional path. If my daughter grows up and she wants to dress like a boy, like great. If she, for whatever reason, is experiencing gender dysphoria, like we would navigate that together. But that.
All right, I've seen enough. Honestly, I've seen enough. Because your job as a parent is not to negotiate with your child. Your job as a parent is to guide your child in the direction that they're supposed to go in. This is insane. This is crazy. Which is one of the reasons why everybody should not have kids. Everybody should not have kids. Everybody should not be able to do and say whatever it is that they want to say when they want to say it. You can't negotiate with your child on what it is that you set the standard for. Not negotiating. What do you think this is? My goal is to push you in a direction and give you the insight and information, but push you in a direction that I know as a parent that has navigated this world for the last 40 years, to push you in a direction that you're supposed to go in. And then once you become an adult, you're supposed to stand on the shoulders of what it is that we did good and continue to pass that message along to the people that come after you. When do we start negotiating with children? We're going to navigate that together. No, as long as you live it under my roof, you're going to do what the fuck I say. And that's going to be the end of the conversation. This is not a negotiation. This is not democracy. This is a dictatorship. Please don't make me turn it into North Korea. The fuck is we talking about? Can't stand these people, man. Let me read some of these super chats. See what's happening out here in these streets. Louder Fourth says, acquired my first income property and need advice on what next moves to make to acquire my next one. Gonna join their Patreon. Appreciate everything that you're doing. Listen, Loud. Inside of the Patreon, there's a video that talks about the reverse snowball method that I use from real estate. When you tap into the Patreon, make sure you watch that video first. The reverse snowball method that I use in real estate. Make sure that you tap in and hear that first. All right, let me see something real quick. Let's see what else we talking about. Admire and appreciate everything you're doing, my brother. Keep it up. I know you will. I'm trying to chase the bag with you, brother. Shout out to you. Shout out to you for the foul ball. I can't wait to kick it with you in Dallas. Forsaken Archives, Kevin Samuel said, black men sell out to femininity regarding white women. That's true. I don't think that any guy should be with anybody that's against them. I think a guy should go with the person that actually add the most value into their life. That's just what I stand for. Anton Kate says, tried to like, but only the downvote worked. Hit your Cash App also. I love to chop it up with you. Shout out to Anton Cates. Also, Mr. Lone Star is in the building with the 10 ball. I appreciate you. Thank you to Anton Cates. I appreciate you, big dog. Let's see what we got here. Oh, shit. Shout out to Anton Cates for holding me down. I appreciate you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for holding me down. I appreciate you. And also shout out to Jeremy Hampton in the building. Listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I got a meeting that I got to tap into. I hope you found just as much value in this thing as I do, but we're going to continue to cook up. It's Monday. But Monday is the greatest day of the week because it allows us to get a leg up on everybody that comes after us. We're going to get away from all of this feminist nonsense, this bull crap that they got going on, because I don't think that it adds any value. Listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Anybody that wants more information or wants to give me feedback on the Dallas meetup that we got coming up very, very soon, less than a month, we're going to be meeting up in Dallas and linking up in person. Make sure you tap into the Patreon and respond to the most recent post that I put in there. I love you. I appreciate you, but I need you to do me one more favor before we get up out of here. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be successful by ourselves. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace, family.